Hi there, Mr. McKenzie and Mrs. King are back to present a video on what is a flipped classroom. Today we're talking to you about why we have changed from the traditional classroom. We used to teach math for 40 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes would be teacher talking. Then the kids would have about 5 to 10 minutes to start their homework problems for the next day. We have changed this model to a flipped classroom.
So now instead of listening to the teacher give the lesson during class time, that's going to be your homework. You're going to watch a short video lesson that we put together, walking you right through the lesson we would have normally have been doing in class. You can kind of take notes as you watch along, and then you can kind of go at your own pace. The homework that you normally did, a worksheet of problems or some problems out of your textbook, now we're going to do that in class as part of our daily practice the next day.
Remember, a teacher is going to be there to help you and guide you and ask you questions and push you so that you're fully understanding that concept.
So now you're not going to be on your own as you're doing those homework problems. You're going to have a class full of other students along with your teacher there to help you anytime you get stuck. Oh, there we go.
So let's get started. If you have your spiral notebook, I need you to take that out. It is our expectation for you to start to take notes today, and we're just going to get a kind of feel of how this works. So when you're taking notes during the video, it will start probably next week with the same kind of system. You will write down the title of the video on the top of your page, followed by the learning standard. It'll say, 6NS4 or 6G1, and we're going to be talking about learning standards and what they stand for and why they're important. And then after that sentence, you're going to go ahead and write your I can statement. This is more kid-friendly so that you understand exactly what the concept we're working on and what we expect you to master for the day.
All right, so you should have this information already written down in your notes. Feel free to use the pause button if you need to. Don't feel like you got to try to keep up with us. But the information we're giving is what we're expecting in terms of your notes. So in a normal lesson, here are the things you're going to want to jot down. You're going to want to copy down any vocabulary terms or definitions that we give you in the video. You're going to write down any of the example problems that we do along with the work to solve them, kind of as we work through it with you. And then for any word problems, you're going to want to write down both the problem itself and the work that we did in solving it. If you just write down the work, then you can't remember what the problem was and you're not sure why you took those steps, so it's not very useful for you. So we want to include the problem itself along with the work in solving it.
The way you space it out or what you bold or underline or gel pen or make it pretty is completely an individual thing. You just want to make sure that you can read it because you're going to be the one that accesses that information.
All right, so you should have all the information on the screen here should now be in your notes. Oh, there we go.
We just want to remind you to use the pause button. You're not going to be able to keep up with us. Mrs. King talks way too fast, but the idea is that we're giving you this information in a quick format so that you can use the pause button to stop as much as you'd like. You're going to follow along while we solve a problem, listening to how we do it. Not all of us are oral learners, so that pause button is going to help you stop and rewind and listen again. So when we're going through problem by problem, pause, rewind, write it down, pause again. Don't try to write as fast as we talk. You'll get into a habit as we get through the videos on how you watch it and how often you use it, but guide yourself and know what you need.
Take advantage of the fact that it's not a regular lesson. You don't have to keep up with everybody else in class.
It's hiding.
You don't have to take notes as we talk. Pause it, write it down, then listen to it. Or listen to us explain it first and then rewind and watch it again and pause to write down the information. It doesn't have to be a hit start and you got to keep going until the very end of it. The whole point of this is so you can kind of learn at your own pace. You can pause, you can stop, you can rewind and rewatch whatever you need to make the best use of the information and kind of take in that information at your own rate and at your own pace. All right.
When you get to the end of the video, we're going to have some problems. You try it on your own kind of problems, and you'll know exactly when these problems come. You need to pause the video when we tell you to pause it, and you're going to try the problems on your own. And then, when you are completely finished, you've checked your work, you think you have it accurate, you're going to hit play, and you're going to watch us solve them. The idea is to give you instant feedback and to kind of guide if you need to rewatch the video again or if you're actually grasping the concept. If you got the wrong answer, it's a pretty good indication that you need to go back, figure out where your mistake was, maybe rewatch a video or a section or two, and proceed from there.
The point of the problems at the end of the lesson is to give you a little check-in to see how are you doing with the lesson. Did it make sense? Do you have a good understanding of the lesson, or do you maybe need some more help? So here are a couple things you can do on a lesson that maybe you don't feel that comfortable with it by the time you're done, and you're not ready to walk into class the next day feeling comfortable and confident with the material.
Probably brand new, you don't know it, so what should you do? You should probably start by rewatching parts of the lesson again.
Don't feel like you got to watch the whole thing beginning to end. Go back, just rewatch a particular problem or problem or two.
Maybe watch it at night or before dinner and after dinner. Break it up as much as you need.
Then you can, if I can find it, you can find the lesson in your textbook. Most of the lessons we do as videos also are in your textbook. So the textbook has other examples where they've shown you how to work through the problems there. They have written out examples or explanations. You can find a lot of additional resources in your textbook if the lesson didn't quite make sense in the video.
Remember, if you didn't take your textbook home, you always have online access. So go ahead and log in and they'll help you right online.
Another way, if you're in study hall or maybe you're at home, you can text or talk to a friend or a classmate. Maybe one of the problems in the lesson didn't quite make sense, so you ask them to explain it to you, or maybe you ask them the next day in class or at lunch. See if maybe somebody else explaining it helps it sink in a little bit.
During that homeroom time, it's perfect.
And then the last way is come in for some extra help. Pop in before school or ask to come down during study hall that day.
Or lunch help, or, Mr. McKenzie and I are welcome to help any of you, whether you're our students or not. All you have to do is ask.
The nice part is the very next day, we'll now work on this actual lesson. So you're not going to be on your own with that lesson. We'll be talking about it. We'll go over it the next day in class together. But the idea is that you should have a pretty good understanding of the material by the time you're done with the video lesson, but you're not expected to be an expert.
Yeah, you're going to make some mistakes, so that's why you need to go back, figure out where your mistakes are, and ask again for help.
And then the next day, we'll do the actual practice in class, and then kind of take it from the basic problems to some more kind of challenging problems or some word problems once we have a good grasp of the material.
Thanks.
All right. Hope you took good notes.
Got it down.